How often do you watch YouTube videos? What if I told you that you can learn Japanese and watch YouTube at the same time? Actually, you should do this because it's what I did and it genuinely works. So let me share my screen with you real quick and I'll show you how I use YouTube to learn Japanese. So if you want this to work, this method of just watching YouTube videos, then you need at least a solid foundation of Japanese. So I'm going to show you a video series that you can watch just when you're a beginner, when you're just starting out, because I can just go and, I don't know, click a random video. This is way too hard when you're just starting out. What I would recommend is you go to Japanese from zero, and then there's playlists, and there's one playlist right here. So this is basically a series that I reviewed this as well. I'll put a link in the description as well. It's a series to learn Japanese, from zero as he calls it. So just watch this. You can watch all of these. Well, at least, I'd say at least go all the way until 88. Book 3. So after you watch all of these videos, you are not quite there yet. You can move on to the next stage because I want to make something clear. And that is, learning grammar is not the same as learning Japanese. So let me explain. The best example I can give you is something that my driving instructor used to tell me when I was driving. On the day that I passed my exams, he told me, you know, this day today is actually the day that you start learning. When you do it on your own without doing all the lessons. And he's right, because driving by yourself is actually when you can apply all the lessons and you can actually start learning. And it's the same with learning Japanese. As soon as you use the language and you hear the language and you start talking, that is when you actually start learning the language. Whether you're learning through a book or through YouTube videos, what you're doing is basically building a foundation of knowledge inside your brain, like a Japanese database, as I like to call it. But only when you actually apply that knowledge, whether it's through listening or speaking, you can actually learn Japanese. And most importantly, you can actually remember it. And in my opinion, the best way to remember is by watching Japanese native content. So let's give that a try now. Alright, so I found a channel here that I like to watch because this is content that I enjoy. And now let's see if I click on a random video, how much you can understand. So just try this out for yourself.
練習の撮影の後に僕スカジュンさんの練習に付き合ったんですよ。その時スカジュンさんがエルボーエア練習してて、僕それ動画撮ったんですけど、ちょっとそれ見てもらっていいですか。スカジュンさんのエルボーエアあんまやらないんですよ。
Okay, let's pause right there. Tell me, how much did you actually understand? Because I think even if you do have a small foundation of Japanese, this is still quite hard, don't you think? So what you need to do is find something that matches your level. Not only because you can't learn when it's too difficult, but also because it's just not fun when you don't understand something. So here's a few resources that you can start out with. So this channel is called Angelo Japanese, and this guy is a Japanese teacher, I think. And what he does in his videos is he talks with Japanese native speakers in an easy way, and he translates everything that they respond with and that he says, so that you can learn while you are listening to native speaking Japanese. This is really useful. So next is a podcast that I recently found. It is both on Spotify and on YouTube, and it's nice to have YouTube because you can actually see what this guy is talking about, and the way he speaks is pretty easy to understand, so you can learn a lot from this podcast and really improve your listening. And finally, a channel that really focuses on natural Japanese that is actually used in Japan. These videos are basically interviews from native speakers, so it is really good to practice your listening and to get used to actual Japanese. What separates beginner from intermediate level is really the complexity of sentences and more advanced topics. And if you want to understand more advanced topics, then you need to know a lot of vocabulary. How do we learn vocabulary? Well, for the most part, we pick it up unconsciously when listening and speaking and just interacting in everyday life. But something that is really important to understand is that we only pick up language when we actually understand the context or the meaning in which the language is used. For example, take a look at this clip.
Zwei Ohren. Ohren. Verstehen Sie Ohren? Hat zwei Ohren.
Even though you probably don't speak German, you did understand that, right? Now, reading is also huge, but reading in Japanese is really just a whole other beast because you have to start learning kanji as soon as possible, basically, because those kanji help with learning words as they provide meaning, they add meaning to the sentence. But this video is not really about kanji or reading. If you are interested in that, you can check out this other video that I made recently. What I want you to do is find a topic that you are interested in and then start binging content, native content about that topic. For example, a while ago, I got really interested in space, uchu in Japanese. So I watched this whole playlist about space, which was not in Japanese, by the way, because that would have been way too hard. And then I even found this random song on YouTube, Tayo Kei Disco, which I looked up the lyrics, and those are really interesting to look at as well. Songs are actually really great for learning Japanese as well. Anyway, at that time I bought a game called No Man's Sky, which is a game about space. And I could have played it in Japanese, but I didn't. Maybe I should have tried that. Anyway, I watched the guy played it. I watched the playthrough. in Japanese. So a Japanese guy who was playing it in Japanese, and I learned a bunch of different words like sanso, which is oxygen, and uchusen, which I mentioned uchu, right? So you know what that means. If you've been studying your kanji, then you know that this last part means ship. So uchusen means spaceship. I think it's really amazing how much vocab you can learn by just watching videos about something that you're interested in. And the reason it works so well is because you can actually contextualize these words. So you can look at the video while hearing the words, and you can make that connection, and it's great for learning vocabulary. So now let me share my screen with you, and I'll show you what I do when I have a session like this, when I find a video that I think is interesting, what I do and how I learn from it. So first let's look at this example that I showed you in the beginning, but this time I'm not a beginner anymore. I'm actually an intermediate learner. So let's check this clip again. So this time we're going to not pretend like we're a beginner anymore. We're going to watch the video, and I'm going to show you what I do usually when I find something that I don't know, or generally when I watch a video like this, what I do.
先週の撮影の後に
This channel uses a lot of subtitles, which I really like. So let's say you don't know what this means. Right, these two kanji. Well, the thing with kanji is, if you don't know the kanji by itself, then you're screwed, because you're not going to be able to find it. You have to draw it or find its radicals. This is sen from previous and shu from week, and there it is. Senshu, enter. Oh, that's last week. So last week's, what is this? Something no ato ni. After something of last week. Let's listen to that
先
again.
週の撮影の後に
Satsuen is what he said. There it is. Satsuen. Photography, photographing, filming, shooting video. Okay, so senshu no satsue no ato ni. So after the filming of last week. Boku Skajun-san no boku I Skajun-san is obviously, it says sang, so it's someone here.
の練習に付き合
Renshu, practice. Tsukiattan desu yo. Tsukiau, I thought at first, isn't that like dating? But it turns out that actually tsukiau can also mean to keep company with. So he's saying, last week after the session with Sukajun, which by the way is this guy, I was accompanying him.
ったんですよ。その時スカジョンさんがエルボーエア練習してて
This,
練習に付き合ったん
what he
です。
says after this.
その時スカジョンさんが
Elbow air 練習してて. If you are not familiar with this topic, then you have no idea what it means. Even if you type it in, I think you're not going to find it. So one thing that you can do is copy and just go to Google and then go to images. And then you can see what it is. And I know because I do breakdance, so that's why I chose this channel, because I like breakdance. I know what this is. It's a move, and in English it's actually called air flare or elbow flare. And so they call it elbow air. It's just the Japanese way of saying how the Japanese call this move.
エア練習してて僕それ動画撮ったんですよ。
それ動画を撮ったんですけど、I recorded that video.
ちょっとそれ見てもらっていいですか？
ちょっとそれ見てもらっていいですか? So is it okay if we watch that video? So this is basically what I do. I try to just listen to it, and then when I hear something I don't know what it is, I just go to Jisho and I find it. So it's a lot of pausing, but you know, actually I don't really mind. Sometimes I don't feel like looking it up and I'll just move on, but
ないんですけど
so this is one example. Now let's find another example. So let's say you're interested in something else. For example, games, like me. Yesterday, actually the day before yesterday, I went and typed into YouTube Maikura. If you don't know, it's Minecraft in Japanese. They like to shorten it for some reason. And then I found this video, and I watched almost all of it already. So let's see if we can just listen to this, and when something pops up that I don't know, then I'll let you know. Alright, so right here in the video something happens. Like, look at this. Everyone's like, oh no, what's happening? No, what is this? Mitsuketa, I found you guys. And this guy's like, kanshu. Obviously he's kind of scared and he doesn't know what's going on, so let's find this word, because apparently it's important. So go to Jisho and you type in kanshu, enter. Oh, there it is, prison guard. So that means kanshu is prison guard, and it makes sense, right? Because she's wearing a prison guard outfit. So alright, now you know that. Let's move on. Alright, now what if you heard the word, but you were like, I don't know what he's saying, I don't understand, so I don't know how to look it up. That's totally fine, just move on and it'll pop up maybe again, and if it does, then maybe you'll understand it. And in this case, actually, if you just keep on watching, boom, right there, nande koku ni kanshu ga. And then when you see this, you can actually look this up. which looking up kanji that you don't know, you have to draw them or find the radicals. If you can find something that you know, for example, this bottom part means I, right? So we can go here to radicals and we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 5 strokes. Boom, there it is, I. And then this part has 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes. So 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 9. So it should be a kanji with 9 strokes here. Boom, there it is. And then there's this other part, one top part has 3 strokes, and then there's 1, 2, 3. It's not there. Okay, well, let's try drawing it then. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Boom, there it is. My drawing is not great, but you got it. Press enter, prison guard. So that's, if you don't know how to look up a word, that's how you do it basically. Now the important part here is, look at this. This is a video which is over 1 hour long, and if you are going to look up every single word, then it'll be a really long session, which if you don't mind, then that's fine. But I recommend that you only look up things that are obvious, that you can easily look up. So, which I just did now, because this word popped up, so it's easy for me to look up. But in general, don't bother too much about that. For example, right here, this part, this is pretty obvious. Like, they're all running away from the guard, and they're like, ah, yabai, nigero. So obviously you know that just by looking at this. This means, guys, let's run away. You don't have to go and look up, oh, there it is, nigeru. But you don't have to, because it's way too obvious just by looking at the videos. And that's basically what I do. So the key to actually learning stuff is repetition and lots of exposure of the same words in different contexts. So for example, when I woke up today, I couldn't remember guard at all. I was like, okay, guard, what was that again, that word? When I watched this again, because I didn't finish all of it, I watched 50 minutes and then I watched the other 20 minutes after after waking up the other day. When I heard that word again, I was like, oh yeah, that's what it meant. And that is really important. So repetition. Now I'm going to show you a few moments where something gets repeated. Right here is the first one. Mukai ni iko is what she says, which is a grammar. Now, if you don't know what this means, then you can just look it up. That's what I do. I go to Google. She said something mukau ni iku. Now, ni iku is a grammar in Japanese, so you can just find ni iku. So this is an N5 grammar, so it's pretty basic. To go in order to do something, to go for the purpose of. So for example, right here, tabe ni iku, to go eat. Or what she said is mukai ni iku. Well, you can just go to Jisho and go mukau, which is the full verb, to face or to go towards. To go towards. What she said is mukai ni iku. So let's go and head towards. I don't know exactly what this girl is called, but aoi no mukai ni iku. Ni iko is what she said. Now, if we fast forward, now right here she says it again. Boom, she said it again, and as she said it again, I was like, oh wait, I recognize that, I heard it before, I looked it up, I know what it means now. Here's another time when she says it. Boom, aoi no mukai ni iku. She says it even again, and this is really important because now you really have to remember it. This just works, it really works. Okay, now so at some moments, oh by the way, my camera is kind of dark, but that's because it's about to rain. But anyway, sometimes you find some things, some phrases, and you're like, whoa, what does that mean? It doesn't matter at all, it is really rare, but still really interesting in my opinion, and I'll quickly look them up just so I know what it means. Here's an example. Hayai mono gachi ne, because it is here right on the screen, and this kanji is pretty easy, this kanji is pretty easy, this kanji is pretty easy. So I was like, you know, let's just look it up and see what it means. Hayai mono gachi. Hayai mono gachi. First come, first served. And then they're like, oh shit, let's run. I want to go first. Boom. So anyway, something like that is so random, but I don't know, it's really fun to learn these random words. They're not really useful though, but it's just fun. Alright, so the thing with native content is that native speakers, they really don't hold back. They throw all kinds of words and grammar at you that you've never heard before. So you can't stop learning grammar. You have to find yourself a new resource, keep adding Japanese to your database, because you never know when you will encounter some piece of grammar that you've just learned. And when you do encounter it, then it'll make that sentence just a little bit easier. And the easier it gets, the better that is for learning. And then maybe again in the future you'll encounter it again in a different context, and this time it'll be a little bit more easier to remember for you. So the reason I like this method is because it allows you to have so much fun. You can just watch whatever you want, whatever topic you like, and learn Japanese as well. So if you have fun, then it'll be a while before your motivation runs out, which if it does, then I've got this video for you where I explain how you can find your motivation. So you can watch that next if you want, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye bye.